Call to order the Board of Selectmen. This is the Tuesday, April 15th, 2019 Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Excuse me, I think you said April 15th.
Did I say April 15th? Yes. October 15th, my apologies. I'm going to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any changes to the agenda for this evening? No?
No. I make a motion that the agenda be approved as submitted.
I will second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Agenda is approved. There are no announcements for this evening, correct? Excellent. Okay. First thing we have tonight is recognition of two valuable members of our community from the Ayer Fire Department. First up is Captain Paul B. Philibrown Jr. Paul Philibrown Jr. joined the Ayer Fire Department as a call firefighter on March 6, 1985, serving in that capacity until July 18, 1991, when he was hired as a full-time firefighter and EMT. Paul served in that capacity until he was promoted to lieutenant on October 4, 1994, serving in the capacity until July 1, 2001, when he was promoted to captain. Paul had major contributions to the department in the area of fire prevention, serving as a public safety life educator, administering the SAFE program in the schools. Captain Philibrown was also serving on the grant writing team for the department. Captain Philibrown left the department on September 23rd to pursue a career as the chief of Boxborough Fire Department. So we have a certificate of recognition. Town of Ayer is hereby given to Captain Paul B. Philibrown Jr. for 34 years of dedicated service to the Ayer Fire Department. On behalf of the Town of Ayer, thank you for your service. We'd like to extend our best wishes to you in your new role as the Chief of Boxborough Fire Department. It is presented on this day, the 15th day of October, 2019.
We'll do a quick picture.
Quick picture. We like a picture stage set up on the
I
side.
know. We do. Great. Perfect. Good job.
Like a photo booth or something.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Thank you, Paul.
I do. Yes, I do.
Side note, those are the tester chairs tonight from the fire department.
Oh,
You know, I thought
excellent.
this felt weird. I thought, boy, I'm sitting a little higher than I was the last time. Last time I was sitting on the floor, so now I know why. I like it.
It's
You're
a
not getting
test
it back.
Okay.
You're not getting
Can we
it
move
back.
on, please? We can talk chairs later. Chief has a schedule, apparently. Also this evening, we would like to recognize Captain Richard Resijic.
Resident.
What's that?
Resident.
Resijic, sorry. Paul Resijic has served on the Ayer Fire Department for 47 years. Rick started as a probationer on the call department April 4th, 1973 at the age of 18. He was appointed a regular member of the call department the following year, November 6, 1974. Appointed to the rank of lieutenant on August 6, 1980, and to the rank of captain on March 14, 2018. Rick served on many committees over the years at the fire department, is one of the founding fathers of the fire department Thanksgiving Day 5K road race. Rick will remain to serve the town as an EMT. Thank you for your service from the town. A certificate of recognition is hereby given to Captain Richard Resijic for 47 years of dedicated service to the Ayer Fire Department. On behalf of the Town of Ayer, thank you for your service. We'd like to extend our best wishes to you as you enter your retirement. Presented on this day, 15th of October, 2019. Congratulations.
Sorry, no, photo op.
Photo op.
Photo op.
On a personal note, I just want to add that this man,
Thanks, Kat.
when my parents were still alive and living on Highland Ave, what a wonderful neighbor and friend that he was always to my parents.
We have a
And
nice
I thank
neighborhood.
you.
My pleasure. We have a good neighborhood.
You have room?
Great, also.
Okay, excellent,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks, neighbor.
Huh? Yes.
Thanks.
All right. We'll give a moment for the room to clear. Is there anyone here for public input this evening? Okay, please come on up. You-
This is more of a question, and
Can you state your name and address, please, just for the record?
my name is
Thank you.
Sarah Withy, and I'm from 11 Groton Shirley Road. And I came because I was hoping that during the town manager's report, or just as it comes up in the meeting, you could answer a question about Article 8 on the warrant, and that is specifically, I think I sent you an email earlier and I phrased it a little wrong. I want to know, is Ayer going to allow any exemptions, and what's the process for deciding that? So,
Robert?
Mr. Chair, would you
Yeah.
like me to answer it now or under my report?
It's up to you. We could provide an answer now if you'd like.
sure.
Okay, since you did come down. Thank you, Robert.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you for coming down, and I did just get your email. To answer the question, in the event, Article 8 has to do with whether or not the town will increase the surcharge for CPA funds from 1%, which it currently is, to 3%. And it's a two-part process. It has to pass the town meeting on October 28th, and if it passes the town meeting in April, in the spring, it has to pass the ballot. To the question, if it does pass, there is an exemption process. That's by law, by state law. So meeting eligible criteria, an individual could file for an exemption through the assessor's office. And I can, through the chair, get you electronically that information. So there is an exemption process that is required at state law, and I can send you that.
So I think I see 4 here. So is it like Ayer has to offer these, or do we get to choose? Like, we just want to offer it to senior citizens, or?
We have to, if it's adopted, we have to follow the state law, so all of those exemptions, we do have to offer if you meet the criteria.
Okay, thank you.
And I will send you that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else for public input this evening? No? Okay. We have Chief Pedrazi. We're only running a minute late, okay?
Oh, we're a minute early for Chief Pedrazi. 6:09.
Well, I'm looking at the big clock, sorry. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
So the reason I'm here tonight is we just wanted to adjust a couple of our permit fees. I was going through them with the fire prevention lieutenant, and the fire prevention lieutenant was wondering why we charge this for this, and it's the same type of inspection as we charge this for the other one. So it's an adjustment on a couple of the fees. The first one is LP storage tank permit and inspection. We very rarely used to do these, and they used to be mostly at the trailer park. They'd stand up the propane next to the trailer. Well, pretty much now, there's a lot of people that are using propane, and now they put the propane underground, and it requires an inspection of the tank before they can fill it in. So it's a longer inspection, so we upped that $20 to $50. The oil tank inspection's the same thing. It's the same inspection that we have to do when we go out to do an oil burner permit, which is $50, so it's the same inspection. So we'd like to make it the same fee. The smoke detector one was confusing to a lot of people that would look at the fees online. We had a $25 fee there for a smoke detector with no carbon monoxide detectors, which only is if you have electric heat in your house, you don't have to have a carbon monoxide detector. And it was confusing for a lot of people, and it caused a lot of confusion. We'd go out to do an inspection, we'd get a check for $25 and then have to chase them for the other 25 because they thought it was a $25 inspection. It was really a $50 fee. So we just like to change that, delete the wording in the one that says without carbon monoxide alarm, and delete the $25 one. So it would just say smoke detector, Massachusetts general law, 148.26 and a half, $50. And the other one, we wanted to get rid of the $5 fee for the fire report copies, because under the public records law, it's a public record now. Well, it's always been a public record, but we used to be able to charge for it, and we haven't been charging for it, but it's still $5 on the permit fee schedule. So we're just trying to clean it up.
Okay. It sounds very straightforward.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking for you guys to approve the second page, has all the changes on it.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the new permit fees as presented by Chief Pedrazi.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Thank you very
They are
much.
approved.
Thank you.
Good, we'll get them up
Thank
online
you.
tomorrow, hopefully. Have a good night.
Thanks, Chief. Have a good night. All right. Up next is Mark Wetzel, Superintendent of the DPW.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. So the first on the agenda is the proposed transfer station fees. So we have a rate review committee. We look at water, sewer, and solid waste fees. Generally, water and sewer are done on a fiscal year, so it begins on July 1. But transfer station fees, because we are selling a lot of permits and just to make it easier on our management of the department, we do that on a calendar year basis. So we have looked, so just a little overview. The solid waste transfer station operation is an enterprise fund, which means it is separate accounting. The fees and rates are charged to cover the cost of the operation. So in other words, we try not to subsidize the majority of the operation from the general fund tax budget. So the revenue is primarily from permit fees and for your sticker to put on your car and your pay-as-you-go trash bags. Approximately 40% of the budget is subsidized through the taxes. Just a little bit of what we do there. We accept people's trash. We have zero sort recycling. 2 years ago, we started a food waste collection. We collect bulk items, which have a separate cost. We collect yard waste, which we process and we haul to our brush dump on Bishop Road. One thing I'd like to point out too, so we haul it to the brush dump, but then we still need to process that. And as you may or may not know, we had the Castle Rock show filming down at our brush dump, and to prepare the site, they cleaned up all of our brush for us. It was saved the town about $25,000. So it was nice having the movie guys around and doing some work for us. We have the popular swap shed, and then we also have some special book, textile, metal recycling, fuel oil, things like that. Our current fees, annual permit for a sticker is $90, a senior citizen rate is $55. If you want a second permit, it's $30. A one-day permit is $15. What we call the small trash bags are $3 each. Medium are $4 each, and the pay-as-you-throw large trash bags, which are becoming more popular, are $5 each, and then a bulk tag is $5 each, and then we have different rates. Here's the bulk item rates. So People come in and like I sold a bulk sticker for a dishwasher yesterday. Our budget last year, this is semi-final. It's not, the books aren't closed, but we had expenses of about $560,000. Our revenue was $573,000. I don't know if you remember, we had a reserve fund transfer because we were projecting a shortfall, but you never really know until the end of the year when you got all of your revenue numbers in. So we ended up having more revenue, which you'll see in the next slide that we're going to use to offset the rates this year. So this year the budget's about $550,000. We base our revenue on primarily the permits and bulk and bag fees. The miscellaneous amounts to about $10,000 depending on grants and other things. So we've got a general fund subsidy of $230,000. We're using, as I mentioned, from the excess revenue, we're using the retained earnings of about $23,000. So we basically needed permit and bag revenue of about $285,000. And also I wanted to point out, so the budget, approximately 70% of that is fixed costs and 30% are disposal costs. So technically, if you have fixed costs, that should be more what your permit is based on, and then your pay as you throw should be on your disposal costs. But the permits would be a lot more expensive if we based it on that. Right now, it's about 50-50, the permit and bag revenue. Some of the issues is last year we went out for bids. Our solid waste disposal cost went up from $68 a ton to over $92 a ton, so a significant increase. That was related to Casella was taking our waste before, and they closed their landfill, so they didn't have a place to get. So we have a new vendor, but that vendor had obviously higher costs. The recycle costs are based on commodity prices, and so we have a cost sharing, we have a haul fee and then cost sharing, and that's significantly dropped, the commodity price, and I have a slide that'll show that. Also, we're almost staying even with transfer station users. It's a fairly stagnant number of users. It's actually going down slightly, and but also we haven't factored this into the rates, but we'll see how it goes. Our projected revenue from the solar lease is $22,500, and that is supposed to start in sometime in November. Here's just an overview of our permits. You can see the total number. It's going down a little bit each year for the last 4 years. And the other point is the ratio of regular permits to senior permits is increasing. So there's a lot more. We're selling more senior permits compared to total permits. And I talked about the recycling commodity market, and you can see this was from 2018, and it hasn't gotten much better. This is when China decided to stop taking all of our waste. So we have a rate model that we can plug in different scenarios and see if we want to increase bag prices or permit prices or a little of both, and we can go through different scenarios and see how much we generate. So I looked at 10 different scenarios for either permit increases or bag increases or both. One thing to point out is that we're collecting revenue on a fiscal basis for our budget, but the prices are set on a calendar year. So we also discussed, right now we have a prorated permit fee. So after July 1, your permit fee is 50% of the actual cost. And we sold a lot of prorated this year for whatever reason. We also discussed if we wanted to change the senior citizen age. It's currently set at 60, but for most other town functions, and actually for my Social Security, it's 66, but who's counting? So what our recommendation is to increase the senior citizen discount age from 60 years to 65 years of age to be more consistent with other senior citizen rates. Have no prorated transfer station permits after 6 months except for new residents, and increasing the regular permit fee and senior discount fee by $5. So this would be the proposed rates: $95 for an annual permit, $60 for a senior citizen rate, $30 for a second permit, which stays the same, $10 for a one-day permit, which stays the same, and the trash bag prices all stay the same. So the impact is that basically the cost goes up $5 a year.
Okay.
So what's that? 2 Dunkin' Donuts coffees.
I don't drink Dunkin' Donuts. That's the end of the presentation.
That's the end of the presentation.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for the break there. So I know that there's been a lot of discussions about the transfer station over the last year at least. So a couple of my observations as a user. One is the free shed needs to be a little better monitored, because I think people are using that to work around the bulk stickers. And I don't know if it's a matter of the stickers not being available for purchase up at the transfer station, or just trying to get out of paying the $5.
Actually, so enforcement was discussed
Okay.
at the rate review. It was
Excellent.
heavily discussed. And it is being looked into and hopefully improved, because that concern was brought forward.
Okay. And so Robert and I had a conversation the week before, and kind of looking at it from a revenue versus expense side of things is maybe trying to work with the recycling committee to see if we can find ways to lessen the amount of trash that we're hauling, trying to keep either like heavier things out of the trash, or just things that take up larger volume.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that came out of that conversation was possibly doing a tour of the transfer station with the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Health, and the recycling committee, and just kind of like observations, discussions on what we think we can maybe improve.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add?
I'm not disagreeing with what you just said. I'm trying to kind of think it out in my head as to what you're saying. So we do have the food waste. So you can bring your compost over. So that helps reduce your bulk costs and everything. And I wholeheartedly agree as far as the enforcement and everything. But I guess I'm no problem doing the tour. I guess I'm just a little bit confused as to what you just said. So.
So, my thought is if we go up and kind of look at the way the operations
Mm-hmm.
is laid out, there might be, whether it's from education of the users to what can be recycled, tips.
I think we
for-
have signs up there. We send out a lot of information. I know the recycling committee is probably the most active committee
Yeah,
in
they do a
this
good
town,
job.
and they do a good job.
Yeah.
They actually have their recycle day coming up in 2 weeks. So they do a good job of sending out mailings, and we have a lot of signage up there. I did order about a half a dozen new signs to put up. We had kind of some sloppy looking signs, some homemade signs, some graffiti spray painted signs. So we've ordered those, so those should be in a week or two. And it's just and I've also gone up and given them a list of some maintenance items they need to deal with up there.
Okay.
you know, I don't go, I don't live in town, so I don't go there on Saturday mornings and observe very often. So I don't know if there are some things we could be doing differently. I know where the transfer station that I go to, we don't have pay-as-you-throw bags. So, you know, people will put everything in a trash bag.
Right.
Whereas here, you know, if you're paying $5 for a trash bag, you're not going to put all your recyclable milk cartons in there. So,
Yeah, because one of the things that in your presentation was that the number of users have been steadily going down, and I think it's the kind of the transition that the town's going through with a lot of the newer developments that are coming in. We've had discussions over the years about whether it's just educating new people coming to town that there is a transfer station, this is the process, this is what the cost is. You know, I think we need to start collectively as a group trying to figure out how do we get more customers so we can get the revenue side up and start seeing that, try and reverse that trend.
So a flyer was put in people's tax bills, but in like my scenario, my taxes are taken right out of my mortgage. So the envelope arrives and I'm kind of like, yeah, it's been taken care of. I don't necessarily open the envelope.
Right.
So somebody might have it, you know, this flyer, and not even realize it because they haven't opened the envelope because it's already being taken care of. And when it's taken out of your mortgage, you kind of go, yeah, it's done. So, so there has been that. I do think too that even at town meetings or anything to have a flyer, which we've had before, and I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, it would be great to get more people involved. I think in some cases, some people, you know, they might be living at Pingree Hill and they think it's too far, you know, to drive. You know, I have a cabin in Sanborn, New Hampshire, and I drive 7 miles to the transfer station. So, you know, I don't, you know, go with that argument. But I did ask at the rate review, are we at that point, based on what had happened in the public hearing in August of 2014, to have the discussion again? And based on the discussion that we had, we're not there yet, but we are starting to get close.
And that's the real challenge, is you don't want to make the transfer station too expensive for the user, so that
Right.
way we're going to lose customers and
Yeah.
everyone's going to transition over.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose on a good point, you could look at, it's not a good point as in good, but the point is that even on the recycling costs, as it goes up for us, it's also going up for the curbside users too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so on that, I don't know how we're going to overcome, because either way we go, somehow we're going to have a rate increase. So we tried to keep it, you know, as simple and tight as possible and not go too overboard.
yeah.
So,
One of the
but
challenge.
we definitely agree with the senior citizen rate, because it does kind of go. It even goes with, you know, the water and sewer, the water discount, age 65. So it kind of aligns that. Now there are going to be some people upset, but it's I don't, you know, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, on that point, somebody's going to be upset even over a $5 increase. So, you know, we're going to have a few complaints.
You know, one of a couple of the issues that when we did the curbside evaluation, I learned a lot about the demographics in town. We have a lot of households that are condominiums or apartments that have their own trash. A lot of those don't have recycling though, but people don't want to spend $90 for a permit to drop off the recycling because they're doing good for the environment. But the other thing, one woman brought up a point that she says, I have 3 young kids at home, 2 of them are in diapers, and the last thing I want to do on Saturday morning is put dirty diapers in the trunk of my car and drive across town. So I think you have a lot of the young families that move into town, maybe move from a community that had curbside and choose to take that option. So it is a challenge to get new customers. We do have a Devon's rate, but I don't think we have any. Maybe
No
one
one's taken us
Devon's,
up on that.
maybe one Devon's customer.
One of the things that when I was on the finance committee we talked about was creating like a flyer for new like new real estate transactions, and just in general for the town, kind of highlighting what some of the services are that are within town, how things work, and including the transfer station on that, like what the permit fee is, et cetera. Maybe we revisit that, because I think part of it might be just communication to newer people coming into town.
I get a lot of calls that say, what day do you pick up my trash?
Where I transfer a lot of calls now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, I don't want to get off on a complete tangent, but I think going forward, maybe over the next year, we should kind of start putting our collective heads together and having some conversations on, see if we can get revenue up or find ways to try and get costs down.
I feel like we also did talk about, like, talking to the real estate agents during our rate review. So I remember us talking about it, and then I don't remember after that.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this before, we're working with the town clerk or someone like that, and kind of a new
Yeah.
resident
Yeah.
information packet that would cover not just public works things, but voting and stuff like that, so. So we'll pass that off to Susan.
Robert?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to mention that the Rate Review Committee is a committee appointed by the Board of Selectmen and consists of Selectman Livingston, Pam Martin, the business manager at the DPW, Miss Mary Spinner, resident, Lisa Cabri, our finance manager, of course, Mr. Wetzel, the DPW superintendent, Mr. Mark Smith from the FinCom, Mr. Rich Scotchless, a resident, and myself. And all of the meetings are open meetings to the public. The minutes are found on the website. And I just want to stress the point, because sometimes I get calls and so forth, as a lot of work goes into these recommendations. They don't just fall out of the sky. So I do appreciate everybody's efforts on that. And in my opinion, the 3 recommendations, I think, are moving us in the right direction.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments?
I'm good.
Anyone else have anything to add? I'll open up to anyone in the audience if need be. No? Okay. I'll make a motion to recommend the new transfer station fees as presented.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. They are,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the presentation, it's very informative.
My other item, I'll skip my slide, but was, I'd been asked to look at the inventory of the bridges and ownership in the town, so I put together a spreadsheet. One of the questions is, what's a bridge and what's a culvert? Generally, in the state defines anything with a span over 10 feet as a bridge. And then once it's over, I think it's 25 feet, it's a state bridge. But anyway, so in Ayer, we have the West Main Street bridge over the Nonnacoitious Brook, which is the one that is, we have a $500,000 grant from the state to rebuild that. We had a long review process with Mass DOT. The Mass DOT came out with this grant program, but unfortunately they didn't tell the bridge design reviewers that it was to speed things along. So they treat our bridge like we're building a bridge over Route 495. So it took about a year and a half to get them to finally approve it. So it's approved now. I'm doing my final review of the drawings, and we'll be advertising for bids in the near future.
I'm sorry, which one was this one that you're talking about?
The West Main Street culvert
Okay.
that's being replaced with a bridge.
Okay.
Barnum Road Bridge, right over, just before you get to the water treatment plant up by the community garden at the Rotary. That's also a town-owned bridge. That needs, the state does inspect it, but it's a town bridge. That does need some work, and that would be next on the list. It's probably about $300,000 to $350,000 worth of improvements it needs. It's nothing structurally. It's got some erosion around the abutments and some cosmetic stuff on there. If you drive by, you'll see like the concrete curbing and stuff is all spalled. So it has some definite work on that, and that's next on my list. This bridge out here going over the railroad tracks, the William P. Iverson Bridge, that is a state-owned and maintained. I've been communicating with the state. When we get potholes and things, I talk to them about repairing it, and it's somewhat on their radar to redo the deck, but right now they're just planning to do regular maintenance to repair that. And believe it or not, that color was selected by the town.
I still long for the old green. I see someone nodding their head, yeah. I loved the green.
There was, from what and Ruth can probably fill us in on it, from what I've seen on the articles on that, there was a lot of discussion and conversation on what color to paint it, and that
Well,
is
I think it looked pretty when it was
theoretically
first painted.
that's theoretically the high school color.
Right, and I think the first year it looked
It looked good.
the school colors, and then it's just kind of faded.
East Main Street, right when you come out of the Rotary, we have a small box culvert there. That is owned by Mass DOT because it's a state highway. I don't know what their plan. They did do a recent inspection on it. They said it was fine. If you notice, it's starting to get a little pothole there. And I asked them to take a look at it again, and they did, and said, "Oh, we don't see any issues with it." But at some point, either the dam or that road needs to get repaired, and we're sort of trying to figure out whose responsibility that is. But right now, the bridge is MassDOT's responsibility. We have the relatively new bridge over the railroad tracks down on West Main Street. That's MassDOT. Groton School Road, we have a 7-foot wide culvert that we just had that inspected last fall. That's in relatively poor condition, so we need to do some improvements there. So the town engineer is working on coming up with what we need to do and what the plan is for that. The Shirley Street culvert over the brook that has been closed for a number of years. That's on my capital list, and we haven't really decided if we want to rebuild that or remove it and do some permanent improvements on the end of each road. I think you kind of go both ways. It's nice to have a backup route across there, but it's also fairly expensive. Shaker Road has a 5-foot round culvert that's in good shape. Snake Hill Road, coming out between Sandy Pond and Flanagan's Pond, is a 40-inch culvert that's in good shape. West Main Street at the fire station, you probably didn't even know there was a culvert there. Comes out of Plow Shop Pond, goes under Moore Lumber Building, under West Main Street, and that's the right next to the fire station where we get some flooding. That's actually, we've had that inspected. We need to have a serious structural engineer look at that. It's kind of a combination of different sizes and materials, and that's 2 6-foot wide stone box culverts. Central Ave outlet for Flanagan Pond is 8-foot wide by 6-foot high. That was inspected in 2018. It's another rock and stone culvert. That's in fair condition. And Bennett's Crossing has a double box culvert, 2 10-foot wide, which is in good condition. So those are the main bridges in town.
So thank you. So the reason why I asked for this is because I kept seeing people making comments about Main Street Bridge and how it needs major work and it's going to cost the town of Ayer money, and I'm driving over this bridge going, what is everybody talking about? And then they talk about the East Main Street Bridge, and of course it's a culvert and you're looking for this bridge going, where's the bridge? So I thought, you know what, why don't we just get a full update on all the bridges? So I thank you. I was starting to get worried. I mean, I know when I watched the first episode of The Society, Main Street Bridge, they zoomed in. It didn't look as good, but I'm hoping it was just for the TV show.
So thank you very much for this update.
Well, we did, and it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, we had a hole in the deck
Yeah, I
that went right down
Yeah.
onto the tracks. MassDOT did do the repair on that, and they've been doing some odds and ends repairs. We've had some issues with the expansion joints with some stalling and things. And so I got 2 responses from MassDOT, one that said, we're just gonna maintain it as best possible, and another one said, thanks for putting this back on our radar. So, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Means I will start taking a look at it.
And I just wanted to bring up one other thing, just briefly, that we're working on, just because you may get some questions around town. On the East Main Street project, so we're redesigning the road from where it forks, where the new Welcome to Air sign is, up to the Main Street Bridge. And so the design is all done. It's moved up for the construction for next season. But one of the processes, since it's federal money, is we need to get temporary easements from everywhere we're working, which is basically the whole corridor. So when we say temporary easement, that means if they're putting in if the property line is here and they're putting in a sidewalk up to the property line, obviously they're going to dig a foot onto the property.
Yeah.
Also, when we put in new driveway aprons, we have to blend the driveway apron into the existing driveway and the walkways into the existing walkway. So we need to get about 55 temporary easements. And the process is, there's a very strict process on how we do that. So we just sent out letters to all of the abutters that we need easements with. We have a little sketch of what the easement is. We're gonna have a meeting on the 24th upstairs to go over what exactly we're talking about with a temporary easement. It's just during construction, and there's a process where they can donate the easement to the town, or we have an appraiser that will go out and appraise the value of that temporary easement for the 3-year period that it's temporary, and then if they choose not to donate, then we pay them for their easement. And so that process is just starting. And I just want, in case you get questions, have people contact the DPW. Again, as a federal requirement, every time I talk with someone about their temporary easement, I have to keep a log of it. And so it's a big bookkeeping effort, but I think the people that live on the street and the town overall is going to be really impressed when the project gets done.
Looking forward to it. It's been on the radar for a while.
Yeah. I mean, there's a street in my neighborhood that's exactly like East Main Street, a relatively busy street with a lot of houses on it, sidewalks on both sides, and it came out really, really nice. You can also go through the new Oak and Prospects Street project, which is a little smaller scale, but very similar with granite curbing and concrete sidewalks and concrete driveway aprons. So it's going to come out really, really nice. So,
Thank you, Mark. Up next, we have Alan. Welcome.
Good evening.
Hi, Alan.
Good evening, thank you. Okay, through you, Mr. Chairman, just one item tonight. We're simply requesting for the board to vote on the UDAG portion of our budget, our FY 2020 budget for the Office of Community and Economic Development. And as all our departments are doing, and Robert, the Office of Community and Economic Development, again, this year are level funded. We just actually have a total escalation from last year of just a little over $1,000 for our entire budget. And we actually are doing a little bit less with some of our line items. So we're holding the line as all of our colleagues are. It's very important. And again, it's that portion, which is the $56,385, which is the UDAG portion Our budget has three sources. One was voted on at spring town meeting, which is just the omnibus budget, and then the IDFA board votes on the 19,000. So we're requesting a vote on the 56,385.
Yes. Any questions? No. Straightforward. I'll make a motion to approve the UDAG portion of the budget of $56,385.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Thank you very much. We will
Thank you, Alan.
continue to be a lean, mean municipal delivery machine.
You guys do great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Mark Archibald, the
Selectmen.
town planner. How are you this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, good.
Hi, Mark, how are you?
Good, good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I asked the town planner to give a very just brief overview of Articles 4, 5, and 6, which the board is aware are the three zoning bylaw amendment articles. And also, as the board is aware, per bylaw and state law, that the planning board is to give a report on each of these at town meeting. That would be sort of a version of this brief version of the overview. But I thought it'd be helpful to have a brief overview for 4, 5, and 6 for town meeting.
Well, thank you. Okay, I'll just talk about the first one. This very first slide I'm going to rework for the town meeting, so it's more graphic and less words. But essentially, the First Amendment, Amendment 4, is some tweaks to the open space residential development section of the bylaw, which you may recall is the way in which we do subdivisions in the town of Ayer now. We discovered that there's a word in the purpose clause, the word only, which has caused the planning board some trouble because some of the applicants have thought that that meant that if it's not in the OSRD section that they didn't have to adhere to a certain specification or requirement. And according to town council, that is not the case. So, there are applicable provisions elsewhere in the bylaw that should apply to subdivisions. So by striking the word only and putting the word applicable provisions of the Ayer zoning bylaw in that opening clause, we will be all set with that. The second is to replace the formula which the consultant put into the bylaw to calculate the number of units with something called the yield plan. Traditionally, when you're doing an open space residential development subdivision, the old-fashioned way is you sketch out a plan that shows how many lots you could get with the full amount of frontage you need on the subdivision road, the lot area. You have to take into account the wetlands, the steep slopes, and all of the things that you would normally take into account in the development. However, when you use a formula, it is very difficult to account for the area that is taken up by the roads and the driveways, and if you have problems with the location of the wetlands and how they're configured, it can make things very, very tight. And so what we discovered in applying the formula, which I will talk about here, some examples. Say we have a 10-acre piece of land with 2.5 acres of wetlands. When I performed a conventional yield plan approach on that piece of land, I came up with approximately 14 lots. Now that's just an approximation. But when you apply that formula that's in our bylaw to that piece of land, you come up with 26 lots, which is an 86% increase over what you'd normally be able to get. And so that is resulting in subdivisions that are crowded with many lots, which have to be smaller to accommodate all the lots. Difficulty in arranging the open space, difficulty in locating driveways and overuse of common driveways. So we believe that going back to the old-fashioned traditional way of doing the subdivision math will be in the town's interest, because we have relatively small lot sizes in town, 12,000 square feet, which are surrounding towns with the sewer and water. have like 2-acre zoning. So the bigger the piece of land, the more the formula works, because when you have a smaller piece of land, there's a greater proportion of that area taken up by the roads and driveways, which the formula does not account for. So we're proposing to go back to the way that it was done previously. And these are the points that I just went over, that when you have overcrowded subdivisions, you can have increased wear and tear on town roads, greater fiscal impact in terms of services, increase in stormwater runoff, constraints in laying out the open space, etc. So the planning board, we held a workshop on this, we held a public hearing, and we believe that this is the best way to fix that very important part of the bylaw. So the second is to restore what is called accessory apartments into the bylaw, which are small dwelling units, which are essentially, they fit into an existing single-family home, or they might go into above a garage or in an attached building or something. And most towns have these. They work out very well for a variety of reasons. We did not include this in the package in 2018, but we'd like to bring it back now. Some of the benefits of accessory apartments is it makes it easier for elderly residents to stay in the homes, by renting out a unit to help with the mortgage payments, etc., taxes, or for adult children to keep their parents in the home. They're designed to be compatible with the neighborhood, and if you do it right, you shouldn't really be able to tell that there's an apartment within these homes. The principal residence or the accessory apartment must be occupied by the owner of the property. This is a key point. This will not be absentee landlords, so to speak. There has to be the owner of the lot needs to be in residence, either in the primary or in the accessory apartment. There's a size limit, normally 750 square feet, or is another maximum 25% of the gross floor area of the existing home. They must have a separate bathroom, kitchen, and bedroom. They have to meet all health requirements, fire requirements. And it's permitted by special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals in all districts except industrial, light industrial, and healthcare, which makes sense. So essentially all the residential districts and some of the commercial. And also there has to be some sort of reporting to the building commissioner every year that the situation of the approval is current, so that the owner is still is occupying there, that the parking spaces are still being met, etc. Very simple thing that he will put in a file just to make sure that things are operating according to plan. Some pictures of accessory apartments. There's a single-family home, large single-family home like we have up here on the hill. And there's an apartment in there, and you can see the various configurations on the lower left of how these can fit in. And on the right, you have an interior illustration of how it could look in an attic space. So they're very simple. We think it's will provide additional housing for Ayer residents without needing to create new subdivisions or impact neighborhoods in a unfair way. So we think that it's time has come to put accessory apartments back. The last amendment is really a very simple one, which is to clarify that when you're doing affordable housing in the town, that the density bonus that would allow you to provide housing that meets the 10% for the town's affordability can apply to both housing that requires a special permit or that is allowed by right, which has a P in the bylaw, meaning that you could either just pull a building permit for it, or in certain cases you might need a site plan, which is allowed by right. So the way the bylaw was originally worded, it just pertained to the special permits, and our housing specialist caught that, and she said, wait a minute, if we're losing probably half of the potential 10% affordable housing if we restrict it to just special permits. So it's really just to clarify that this applies to all multifamily housing, whether it's allowed by right or needs a special permit. So it's quite simple. So the planning board held hearings on all three of these amendments, so they all sailed through very smoothly. And I look forward to presenting them at the town meeting on October 28th, hopefully with success. And,
Excellent.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
Oh.
That's a great overview, thanks.
oh, thank you. Oh, yes, give me back the.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Up next, we have discussions around the Town of Air 4th of July celebration. We have Chief Murray and Deputy Chief Gill here. Gentlemen, feel free to come up, please. Chief Pedrazi joining us also.
Mr. Chairman,
Robert.
members of the board, I appreciate the public safety personnel and Alan being here. We would like to have a discussion with the Board of Selectmen regarding specific public safety concerns that the chiefs have regarding specifically the Peroni Park as the venue for the annual 4th of July celebration. And let me first say this is not an easy conversation because we have a challenge. And the challenge is, on one hand, we've done this event for years. Many people look forward to this event. And this is in no way a reflection on the event and folks involved past or present or future. And it's really focused to a discussion about fundamental public safety concerns at Peroni Park that, given the changes in the society we live in and changes that are occurring, there continue to be increased pressures on public safety and increased concerns of public safety. So we wanted to have a frank discussion with the board because one of the challenges is, given where we're here in Ayer, there is no alternative venue, especially with the fireworks component. So we have that challenge before us. So I did put a one-page memo in the packet for the board that sort of highlighted some of the major issues we'd like to discuss this evening. And just to summarize very quickly, Peroni Park only has one public safety access point on School Street, which must be shared with pedestrians. There's no secured entry of visitors to the park. As Chief Murray explained to me, there are no pat-downs, no searches, no bag restrictions or inspections. There's limited available parking. There continues to be a great challenge in inability to hire enough officers to patrol the event, insufficient post-event lighting of pedestrians leaving Peroni Park. Emergency access to the park has become blocked and problematic at times during the event. And when the event is ending, due to the size of the crowd exiting, if there were to be an incident down at the park, it would take additional time to get resources to the incident. And so that sort of summarizes the issues, and perhaps the experts, the chief's deputy, and I asked Alan, because he's been involved in recent years with organizing the event, to share some of these additional concerns and what do we do moving forward.
Okay.
And I think, and I just want to reiterate that this is not a reflection of the incident, of the event itself. We're all for an event. It's the venue of the event. It's public safety-wise, it's just not safe. As Robert alluded to or mentioned, there's only one access point, in or out. So you've got a choke point for everybody. Everybody has to go through that. And if you can imagine all these people trying to converge, and then public safety can't get, if we needed an ambulance, we can't get an ambulance down there. The parking is horrendous. We have no control over the people who go there, and nor do we want control over the people themselves, but it's their belongings. We can't search bags. We don't know what they're bringing in those bags. There is no restriction on the number or the size of those bags. And we're just, over the years, as Robert said, society and the world is changing. And small towns are no longer safe like they used to be. Just look at Pelham, New Hampshire this past weekend, with a pastor and a bride being shot at a wedding. You look at the celebration in California, but they never imagined an active shooter event. And it's something that we're very concerned about. And like Robert, there's nowhere else to hold it. We've tried going to Devon's. Devon's wants no part of this. And we can't see another place in town to have this event. And staffing, I guess, is another, and we're especially looking at, it's already been a problem for us, trying to get enough people to work this event. We finally were able to, when we joined NEMLEC, we could get a few more resources. Next year, July 4th is on Saturday. So that's going to be the day we're going to hold it, and so is every other community in the Commonwealth. And we're just not going to get any extra help that day. And we can't do this without the extra help. So those are just some of the highlights of what we're concerned about.
Okay. Chaz?
I got to admit that I'm not surprised that this discussion is finally happening. And I have to fully admit that whereas a few years ago I might have been able to make myself feel better by saying, oh, not in this little town. I don't feel that way anymore. I see the news, I see where people are, I see what's happened in just the last couple of weeks, and it is very, very scary, which is what these twerps are trying to do to us, is scare us.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's worth it anymore to be able to put everyone in potentially harm's way. The event is great, and I think over the years you guys have done a wonderful job. But the other problem is because Ayer does do such a good job on the 4th of July that you have so many people coming from other areas.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
very scary out there.
And because we do it on the Saturday, we tend to get more people.
Right.
Yeah, if you could limit it to town residents somehow, it'd be great. But I don't know how you would do it.
Right, how
Right.
would you do that? How would you do that?
Yeah, you have
Like
no way
you
to
said,
set up
there's
gates
one
to
way
check
in,
anything
No way. Yeah,
anyway,
there's no
right
way.
now.
No.
And I mean, I feel fairly confident, that the people in this town are gonna be behaved, but all it takes is one person in a bad mood.
No, and I agree. It's a different world now than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Much less 20 years ago. So I don't think that anything that's being said can be interpreted any other way than it's public safety has to be the utmost importance. So are we discussing not having the event next year or going forward? Or
That is a
do we want-
recommendation. I mean,
Okay.
we've tried to come up with other ideas. We've met to discuss this, and we just can't seem to come to anything that is possible. There is an idea that maybe we can still hold the parade and still have that kind of event. But it's the evening fireworks that probably, if we were to do that, would have to go. For this to be safe. We can manage a parade.
There isn't another place in town that has a large enough area to light the fireworks off. The only reason that we can have them as close to the crowd as we have them down there is because of the rise in the hill there.
Yeah.
There's a natural barrier, which we've been approved for. So if that was a flat piece of land, the people would have to be twice as far back as where they are. So there's no other area in town that we could think of that you could use.
Mr. Chairman, and as Chief Murray has mentioned, we have reached out numerous times to Devon's, and there just is not the interest over there of them holding the event.
That's
For Many
disappointing.
of the same reasons.
Yeah.
we're
And they
talking
have
about.
much bigger space, but they don't
Right.
want to assume the liability. They have public safety concerns, and they have a larger area. And that's the frustrating, the really frustrating and hard part of it is nobody wants to not have the event, but when there are fundamental public safety concerns.
And I think if you go back in the past and think about Devon's used to hold fireworks.
Right.
I remember.
As did we.
Yeah.
And they stopped them. Probably not their first choice either, but probably for the same reason. It's just the liability, and it got to be just too much.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a sad thing to be talking about. It really is. I mean, I like the idea we could still hold a parade and still have some type of something going on down there. I absolutely agree with what you guys are saying. It's just, I'm being completely honest. I mean, not a person who has a lot of fear, but it's gotten to the point where I can walk in a parking lot and see a high building with windows and going, I'll walk out here. It's happened in movie theaters, it's happening in Walmarts. I mean, it's just not worth it anymore.
No. I'll support whatever you gentlemen decide for next year. If you want to not have the fireworks, then I'll support that, and just have the parade and try and make maybe a little more robust celebration around the parade itself. But whatever you feel is necessary for public safety.
I agree.
It's just in a bad spot. And, you know, on my perspective, the more that they lock it down, which is what they have to do, I'm not disagreeing with that at all, the harder it is for us to get in and out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a bad spot. You know, the last few years, just having the pedestrians only in School Street, I think is a very smart idea, but it just makes it harder for us to get in and out of there if something were to happen.
Yeah.
And we've been lucky over the years that we really haven't had anything where we've had to get a couple of ambulances down in there. It's never happened, thank God. But, you know, if we had to, it would really delay the response to get in there. Yeah.
The amount of
It's
pedestrians
just-
alone,
Yeah.
walking across the
you get
street.
a huge crowd. I mean,
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've seen
and there's
years
no parking
where
down there
it
either,
takes-
so everyone's walking further distances to
I've
get to
seen
the
years
car.
where it takes 45 minutes to an hour to get out of there after the event's over because of a crowd coming out. You know, it's a long time. There's more people down there than you could ever imagine some of the nights.
So, Mr. Chairman, to conclude, our intent was, one, to have this conversation sooner than later, here in the middle of October, as opposed to just a few months away. Secondly, there's no question there's going to be a lot of people disappointed, upset, wanting to look to alternatives and so forth. And on the Peroni Park piece and the firework piece, the chiefs and their personnel have studied it extensively. And unfortunately, there is no alternative, something thought up at the school fields that doesn't meet the criteria. And Devon's is not interested at this time, with, I think, everybody's regret, but our recommendation from the administration is that the event at Peroni Park and the fireworks not occur for public safety reasons. And we're looking for your support. I think we're all on the same page, the board and the administration, but that we're on the same page, because I'm sure the phone will start ringing. There'll be a lot of upset folks.
Yeah.
I think that the parade is doable. Alan and I have talked preliminary about some different ideas for that. But unfortunately, that's really the recommendation. It comes strictly down to public safety.
Question, the answer, Ruth?
Has anyone considered, instead of stopping the number of people that are coming, people coming from all over Newton and Andover, and who knows where, but just say this is just for Shirley and Ayer residents only, and that would limit a lot of problems because we limit the number of people.
Well, part of the problems with what they've said is they don't have a way to control the crowd of who's going in and who's going out, much less from finding where they live and to allow them in, but also just being able to search bags to make sure that there's nothing dangerous there. So I don't think that's a viable option at this point.
Sometimes, I'm sorry.
No, please, go
Sometimes,
ahead.
you know, big cities, you have to get a little pass before you can go in to a certain venue. And that's how they do it. You have to go to the town hall and get your pass before you can actually go to the venue. And that's how they limit crowds and all too. So they did in Texas when I lived there.
Is the area really can't be secure though, because you have the 2 parking lots on each side, you have other area, you have one side on the fields where you can get there through the end.
That's when I say there's
end of
only
the
one
road.
access point, there's only one drivable access
Yeah.
point. People could walk in from wherever they
Exactly.
want, to be honest with you. There's no fencing, there's no barriers, there's nothing to stop people from just walking in, which is, again, no control over the people coming in.
So in order to do the idea that you suggested, you would have to somehow put up a whole barrier around.
For that idea to work effectively, yes, I think.
Yeah, it's just not feasible given manpower and.
Not a fence that high, and then you got that people patrol that, just to make
Right.
sure that, so that's, even taking away from the resources we have for the park, and we don't have enough of that as it is. It's a
Susan?
good idea.
I just, in trying to decipher what the criteria for resident would be, it's a very difficult definition in multiple ways. Some people consider it to be taxpayers, some consider it to be if you're a registered voter, some would consider it if you're excise, there's different layers
Yeah,
to that.
that's a
So
good point.
that would just be something, if you're determining how someone would be okay. Like even I'm thinking of how we do the beach stickers, the transfers, like things like that. It seems like it's a kind of gray question or, criteria we would have to come up with.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I'll make, I guess.
Neither
we'll
one
do-
of us want to
yeah,
do this, but we have to.
Make a motion to support any necessary changes to the 4th of July celebration for next year as seen fit by the police and fire department and for public safety.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Thank you for your understanding, and
No,
again, we're very reluctant to bring this forward. It's not what we like to do. We always want to make sure we fix things, not destroy them.
And because of that, we really trust your opinion and your assessment of the situation. It does not come across like this is
And I recognize that.
off the hip. It's something that has been the crowd, because the crowd grows almost every year, and it's getting more and more unwieldy. So, thank you, Robert.
Just to conclude, Mr. Chairman, we will proceed, and I will defer to the chief's expertise in issuing the appropriate public notification.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good decision,
Almost
but
teary-eyed.
painful reason.
know.
I know,
It's brilliant.
but no, it was a good choice.
All right, Robert, town manager's report.
Yes,
Turn it
Mr.
over to you.
Good evening. The warrants that were reviewed and approved since the board last met on October 1st are in your packet. In terms of the administrative update, just in the interest of time, just a couple of quick highlights. One, as the board is aware, the new Welcome to Ayer sign has been installed on East Main Street as part of the host agreement with Central Ave Compassionate Care. MART is preparing for the next phase of the parking facility, which is the delivery and installation of the precast structures. We did have a meeting with MART last week regarding logistics, traffic, and so forth. The date right now for the estimated start date is October 21st, and it would last for approximately 10 days. They will be delivering the precast structures over on West Main Street where Brighter Horizons, the environmental company, is, and staging them over to the site and putting them together. Chief Murray, the chiefs have been involved with the traffic plan that will be solidified this week, and we'll communicate that out. There may be a little bit of traffic in the morning and so forth with these deliveries, but it should go up pretty quickly. And like I said, in 10 days tops is the precast. The capital directive has gone out for all capital requests. They're due Monday, November 4th, with the capital planning committee having their first meeting on Wednesday, December 4th. So that process is underway. I have communicated to all departments that we're looking for the most efficient capital plan, obviously, and have been meeting with departments regarding the status of their current projects and looking forward. And usually our first meeting with the capital planning committee is to look at what's outstanding and where we are moving forward on that. I have been in contact with the superintendent of schools and the town administrator, Shirley. He and I are going to connect again tomorrow. I have conveyed to them from this board at the last meeting the idea of having a meeting in Ayer in November of all of the parties. That seems to be the direction we're moving in.
Okay.
I will meet with both of them, and I think we'll have some more specifics by your first meeting in November to set that up. I understand the recount, I believe, is tonight or was underway.
Yeah, tonight.
It's completed.
Oh, okay.
Any change?
No change.
Okay.
So the recount has been completed. So we are and lastly, we are, in addition to preparations for the fall town meeting, it is the heart of the beginning of the budget season, though the budget never seems to end. And we are working with departments and communicating with departments about the need in FY21 to really be looking for efficiencies across the board, specifically efficiencies in spending. I think there are some opportunities there. I have conveyed that there's not really an appetite for any new personnel, and we will continue to move in that direction. So unless there are any questions from the board, I'll just get to my action items and have one brief item.
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
On the parking garage, what's the anticipated completion dates? Is it still December?
It's still December.
Okay.
So that's the plan, and we'll continue to keep the board updated. I mean, really, after the precast, we're almost, it's right on schedule. One of the things they have to do is also some of the line painting and so forth before the season changes. So they would like to open it in December. And part of our meeting with them as well was to talk about the interim plan, with Depot Square. And once we have, meaning this parking there now, once we have all those specifics, we'll convey those to the board as well.
Okay, excellent.
One follow-up.
Yes.
When it goes to open, will the kiosks and everything also be in place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I have asked Mark, and they have not disagreed, and I'm going to hold them to this, that the first week that they're open, they actually also have personnel present to assist the public. I mean, it's not rocket science, but with any new structure, there's just so it goes as smooth as possible. But when we say open, all of the elements will be in place. In terms of the next item is, again, the rescheduling of the December 3rd meeting. I don't know if the board has given that further thought. As mentioned, the special election is that night here, and there's to be no public meetings in a polling place during the election. So we will have to move that meeting.
Quick question. What time is the capital planning on December 4th?
4.
Okay. So, yeah, so last time we met, I had stated the 4th or the 5th, who's good, which it still is. That's why I wanted to double check, so I can go to the 4th. And then
do a
still have
meeting
time
at
for the
6.
6th.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need time in between?
Well, I mean,
Or-
is it gonna, how long does it
Is that
usually,
too much
just for the
for
first
everyone?
one?
The
Just-
first one won't be more than 90 minutes tops.
Okay.
We try to keep it to an hour.
I can grab a sandwich or something. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do the 4th if either of you feel that you want to do a later start time, 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm amenable to that. Just for that one instance.
I think we'll be all right. It's
Yeah,
usually an
yeah.
hour.
I'll
Yeah.
just, you know, just grab some crackers.
Let me know if you're
something
running
like
late,
that.
I can bring snacks.
But so, yeah, so the 4th would be good, or the 5th, which is the next day. It's the
the
Thursday.
4th
The 4th
works
would
with
be
me.
the Wednesday, so,
Yeah, the 4th works fine with me.
okay.
So Wednesday, December 4th at 6.
Yeah.
Now, saying that, the band calendars has not come up for the high school, so that may change, but
Okay.
right now it works.
They could do the concert down here under announcements.
Well, I know that like
Okay.
the following
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
I am definitely unavailable.
Yeah, I think we should definitely squeeze it in that week.
Yeah,
Okay.
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 Okay. The next item, if there isn't objection from the board, I'd ask Kevin Johnson just to come forth to give just a brief overview of our request.
Evening, Kevin.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Well, how are you? In your packets, I prepared a memorandum to the town manager explaining some recent news at Mid-Manitoba Health Group. Another group purchasing organization received an opinion letter from their council stating that board members who also partake in the health benefits of the organization have a conflict of interest in a recent ruling by the Ethics Commission. And as a result of that, at the September meeting of the Board of Directors of Mid-Manitoba Health Group, the board voted to that the representatives and alternate representatives bring this to their appointing authority for action sooner than later, so we are in a good position going into the rate-setting process for the next fiscal year, which we anticipate will begin in December. An interesting note is, for the 30 years of existence of Mid-Manitoba Health Group, this hasn't been an issue. All of a sudden it is.
Times change.
They do. So for your decision this evening, there a disclosure signed by both myself and the town manager as the primary and alternate representatives to Mid-Manitoba Health Group, allowing us to participate in the rate-setting process with full disclosure of our interest in the health benefits.
Yeah. I'll make motion to appoint Benefits and Payroll Manager Kevin Johnson as the primary representative and Town Manager Robert Pombriand as the alternative representative to the Mid-Manitoba Group, and approve the Massachusetts Ethics Commission's disclosure for each of them.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. It's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, Kevin.
And lastly, members of the board, I did put on the agenda a review of the special town meeting warrant, which I believe we reviewed it the last time that the board approved, as an opportunity first for any other questions regarding the warrant. And I do have a brief, and I emphasize brief, presentation on clarifying on Article 14 and 15. Before I get to that, I just want to also advise the board that I did go to the Finance Committee last Wednesday to present Articles 1 through 3, which have a financial impact to the town. We had a very good discussion. The committee asked good questions. They were not in objections to Article 1, 2, or 3, and they did say they are prepared, if asked by town meeting, to speak on the articles. They are in support of Articles 1, 2, and 3. 1 was the prior year bills. Article 2 is the borrow authorization for Spectacle Pond, and Article 3 is the Parks building borrowing. So, before we get to 14 and 15, which has to do with the town meeting and the town election, are there any other questions on the warrant? The resident that came this evening, I will follow up with the electronic information that she requested on that. Mr. Archambault presented 4, 5, and 6 tonight. We've heard from Mr. Minoyan on the form-based code, conservation. So before we get to 14, 15, I don't know if there's any other questions. Easy ones, softballs.
I don't have
Okay.
softballs.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any other questions on
Yeah.
one article. It's Janice, to you, other 14 and 15.
Can I just see that? I'm gonna use the mouse. Lastly, members of the board, as you probably have started to see on social media through the town, we've started it, as we've done in the past, the articles of the day, each day trying to give a synopsis of each article, and that will run all the way up to a town meeting. So, Article 14 and 15 I did want to talk to the board about, and I'd like to preface my brief presentation remarks by saying I can now see why the United States Constitution has only been amended 27 times in its history. Nothing is ever easy when it comes to the bylaws. I will say this as we move forward, and it is a process that at the end of the day, the general code process will have us in good shape. With that being said, I wanted to talk about Article 14 and 15 to clarify what the intent of each article is in light of how bylaw 1 is written and in preparation for town meeting what the implications are. So that's bylaw 1 as adopted by the town of Ayer. That is what's on the books. That's what's on the website. I apologize, I see section 4 got crunched. And that's what the bylaw 1 is what Article 14 and 15 are dealing with. Specifically, what is pertinent, as you'll see, will be section 1 and section 3. So the first piece that is difficult, myself included, to get one's mind around is that the annual town meeting is actually a two-part event. So section 1, and that yellow highlight is the highlight. Section 1 of bylaw 1, the annual town meeting shall be held on the fourth Monday of April each year. Then you have to go down to section 3, where it says the annual meeting shall be called at 7 o'clock, I'm going to say PM, AM, 7 o'clock AM, and the poll shall remain open for 5 minutes past 7 o'clock in the forenoon until 8 o'clock in the afternoon. All business except the election of such offices and the determination of such matters by law or vote of the town are required to be elected or determined by official ballot shall be adjourned until 7 o'clock on the evening of the second Monday of May each year for action thereon. So if any of us had written this originally, and I don't know who wrote it originally, the way it is written, there is confusion. The first thing is that it's a two-part event, and it seemed so. The election is the annual town meeting starts with the election on the fourth of Monday of April, and then it adjourns to the second Monday of May. So let's keep that two-part process in mind. So changing the dates and times requires a bylaw change. So two changes were decided to put before the voters on October 28th. The first one is to change the annual town election to occur after the annual town meeting and to be on a Tuesday. That's Article 14. The second one is change the annual town meeting to occur on a Saturday starting at 10 a.m. and it should say that's Article 15. So Article 14 looks to change the date and time of the annual town election. So we have the same article I showed you up, but what's proposed is in section 3, where it's striking all of the language and adding the annual town election shall be held on the second Tuesday of May with the polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So just if that change passed, and I have a slide that shows the scenarios, the annual town meeting would still be held on the fourth Monday of April each year. And then you get down to section 3, we get rid of all of the part about the election happening and then adjourning to the second Tuesday in May for the town meeting. We take all of that out. In the bold underline Section 3 simply reads, the annual town election shall be held on the second Tuesday of May, with the polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So,
I just want to point out that when you read this bylaw, you read annual town meeting shall be held on the fourth Monday of April each year, right? But what you have to do is actually read the annual town meeting shall be held on, and then go to section 3 to find the date. Then go back to the second sentence where it then says when the annual fall meeting will be held on the fourth Monday in October.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, it doesn't clarify between.
yeah, but I mean, if you just look at the first sentence, that's what it says. So but you don't realize, the reader does not know to then have to go to section 3 to get the date for the first 4 words of sentence 1 of section 1.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to make sure that it's clear. So if anybody asks, that's why.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, there is no question. And through the general code, which is going to happen, we will fix this. But for the purposes of October 28th, and I'm not, we're still on the same page. Absolutely, that's why we're doing this. It is not written, it's sort of...
It's not written in plain English.
It's Shakespearean-like. All right.
I
So...
think Shakespeare would be appalled at what you just said.
Right. So I'm going to come back to sum up what each article does, but that's the change there. So what does 14 do and what doesn't it do? So if Article 14 passes, if town meeting passes it, it changes the annual election from the current 4th Monday in April to the 2nd Tuesday in May. Now you will see in the article the changes do not take effect until July 1st, 2020. And we did that to allow a year to plan for the budget process. Therefore, upon passage, so if Article 14 passes, as the board knows, it then has to go to the Attorney General for review and come back. We anticipate there usually is not an issue if it does pass. It will not take effect until the spring of 2020. So the annual town election for the spring of 2020 would still be on the 4th Monday in April, and the change would be for the spring of 2021, when the annual town election would be on the 2nd Monday in May. If the article fails, what happens?
Second Tuesday in May. I just want to clarify that.
Oh, yeah, 2nd Tuesday in May.
Yeah, right.
If Article 14 fails, what happens? Nothing. The current bylaw 1 remains in effect, and the annual town election remains the 4th Monday of April. Article 15. So Article 15 is printed in the warrant, is the same, we're dealing with the same article, bylaw 1. And what it seeks to do is it seeks to strike out, in that first sentence, it strikes out the 4th, strikes out Monday and changes it to Saturday. So the annual town meeting shall be held on the 4th Saturday of April each year, commencing at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I'm just going to point out that say Article 14 did not pass. And now we go to Article 15. We're striking out the word 4th Monday of April. The annual town meeting shall be held on the 4th Monday of April. And we want to change it to the Saturday. And if somebody says, no, we don't want to do it on the Saturday, leave it as is. Does town meeting understand if they say leave it as is what we've been doing, or as it is worded?
So the
Do you
interpretation.
see the confusion?
If I could
See, that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, and let me show you the graph. To quote that QVC, wait, there's more. I'm following, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
How did the Attorney General approve this thing years ago?
Good question. It was probably
Ish.
It wasn't an entirety.
I was going to say the original probably goes back even further.
Yeah.
Excellent question, because I've got a slide absolutely for that. So what does 15 do what doesn't it do on face value? So if it passes, it changes the annual town meeting to the fourth Saturday of April each year, commencing at 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, those changes don't take effect until July 1. So therefore, the annual town meeting for the spring will still be the second Monday in May. And I remember that two-step process. So we're still on bylaw. Even if it passes, we've got bylaw 1, if you will, for one more spring. The annual town meeting for spring 2021 would be on the fourth Saturday of April at 10 a.m. If Article 15 fails, what happens? So on face value, 15 doesn't pass. If the article fails, there's no change to the existing annual town meeting, which will occur on the second Monday in May. Now here comes the fun part. Because 14...
Oh, yeah, you've been laughing at me, I know.
14,
Ha ha.
14,
Yeah.
14, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. 14 and 15 are tied together in it, as you'll see. In other words, if 14 doesn't pass, we have to do an extra step with 15. But let me give you the scenarios. If Article 14 fails and Article 15 fails or doesn't pass, nothing changes. Bylaw 1 remains for another town meeting. That's the easy one. If Article 14 passes and Article 15 passes, starting in the spring of 2021, the annual town meeting will be on the fourth Saturday in April, and the annual town election will be on the second Tuesday in May. So if they both pass, the election comes before town meeting, and town meeting moves.
No,
I'm sorry, election. Town
election.
meeting is first, it moves to a Saturday first, and then the election.
Right.
If Article 14 passes and Article 15 fails, so Article 14 is dealing with the election. Starting in the spring of 2021, the annual town election would take place on the second Tuesday in May, and the annual town meeting will take place on the second Monday in May.
Which would almost get back to the original days of doing it all in one day.
Correct. So one of the things,
so progressive.
right? So one of the things is it would put it much closer, as you can see. Now here is, I call it the unintended consequence. If Article 14 fails, that's the election, and Article 15 passes, what happens? Well, we have a problem because starting in the spring of 2021, the annual town election and the annual town meeting would both take place simultaneously on the fourth Saturday. 14 doesn't pass. If you look at...
No, because we don't do an election on Saturdays. So 14 doesn't pass, it stays on the fourth Monday of April. And so if Article 14 fails, the election would still be on the fourth Monday of April. But in Article 15 passes, which is the town meeting, right? Town meeting would then be the fourth Saturday, so it would happen the Saturday before the election.
But I think it's in the way it's worded because it's a two-part process. So
Exactly.
as it says now, so the overall
yes, now,
process
yes.
is like
Yeah.
a 2-3 week process, and it just says we're going to do the elections and we're going to defer everything else till May for the annual town meeting. If 14 fails but 15 passes, the scenario
verbiage of
would
14
it would
is all
be
closed out.
everything is all on the same day because we would not have that deferment of the 2 to 3 weeks.
So, as you can see, this is the unintended consequence. It could be a title of a book. Originally, if 14 fails, town council was saying that Article 15 should be withdrawn at town meeting. However, so that is one option. If 14 fails, of withdrawing 15. However, if 14 fails, there is a way to continue the discussion. If Article 14 fails, then somebody could move to amend Article 15 to insert the language in section 3 on the fourth Monday of April in each year after the word shall be called, and deleting the last sentence in that section, what contains the adjournment language. So, as I've highlighted in yellow, if an amendment adds shall be called on the fourth Monday of April, and you strike out the adjournment language, this would result in a Saturday town meeting with the annual town election still being held on the fourth Monday of April.
I feel like we've opened Pandora's box with
To
this.
be honest with you, if Article 14 just fails, I think it would be best to just pull Article 15, because if we try to do that complicated motion, I think everybody's head's gonna explode.
And also, my concern is if we open it to amendments to the articles, you could have people suggesting other days and other times. So therefore, it could just go down.
Be there all
It'd
night
be a
just
complete
doing this.
quagmire trying to get through that. So I, with Janice, I think if 14 fails, I think we need to withdraw 15.
And if the people ask why, just say, it's a really long story.
So, there you have it. And what I mean by that,
Are you gonna have this, like, there in case there is a question?
yes, and I have hard copies as well for the board. And the reason I put up the resolution piece on this is because of this unintended consequence. If it was amended, section 3, to add the annual meeting shall be called on the fourth Monday of April each year, and then the last sentence of section 3 is stricken, you would still result in the Saturday town meeting with the annual town election. The argument, and both selectmen are correct, we don't want to get into amendment city and craziness. I mean, the argument could be made, the intent all along, obviously the intent was never to have both of the town meeting and the election happen on a Saturday, because that probably wouldn't pass the Attorney General, because how can you have a town meeting going on at the simultaneous election? You could, that particular amendment would be in order to correct that unintended consequence.
Well, I mean, I think you could have them both, but you'd have to have, like, town meeting can only run from this hour to this hour, which could mean that we didn't get to finish the town business in order to open the polls. So, yeah. But not something I would do.
Susan would be very busy that day.
What's that?
You would be very busy that day.
Yeah, that would be a pretty intense time frame. But that's how it got voted.
Mary?
Since I presented this, I'd like to know how it got so screwed up from my original request. And my request to change it was based on the fact that many of us, when we get older, and you will get there someday yourself.
No, never.
I know, you're staying eternally young. We have trouble with night driving. That parking lot is a horror up there. I think everybody agrees with that. So my request was to have it and to change it. I always knew it was a two-part. I don't know how come other people are just finding out it's a two-part process, annual town meeting. It's always been that way. But I asked to switch it to have the town meeting first during the day, and then the town election later. Now, I would have no problem if you kept the town meeting like I requested it would be the fourth Saturday in April, and having the election the following Tuesday. I would have no problem with that. But the object is to get the town meeting during the day when we can see in that horrible parking lot. But this explanation, I bet I could have 5 lawyers here now, and none of them would understand what this whole thing was about. It certainly has got screwed up in plain English.
It has, and I apologize for that. We had talked, I think part of the challenge is we had talked about moving town meeting, flipping the town meeting and the election, and I think the other part of that is the Saturday, because I think the Saturday's a curveball, if you will, in the overall process, because some people may want to flip the two, but not necessarily have a Saturday town meeting. May want to keep it at night. And I think that's going to be part of the challenge, but I apologize for
Town meeting
the
lasts
cluster that
about
this has
3
become.
hours.
Part of the other problem is that when we initially looked at the language that would have been for the motion itself,
Mhm.
we were only looking at that language. And then when you looked at the whole bylaw, when it came all before us and you saw the striked out language, that's where it gets very convoluted because of the way it's written. The normal person will not look at sentence 1 of paragraph 1 and think they have to look at the date of paragraph 3. That's very clear. I've shown this to people, including a lawyer friend of mine, and but it was a mess. So that's what happened. If we had, unfortunately thought to look at it that way weeks before, then we would have gotten through all this mess and it would have been a lot cleaner in the article.
This could be way out there. Is it possible to go to town meeting and vote the changes that you've discussed from us in the date changes, but not require that this town meeting, since the changes don't go into effect until 2021, could you save the amended changes to the bylaw until the Springtown meeting so you'd have a chance to work the language out between now and the Springtown meeting and get the language correct then? But in the meantime, you've got the will of the people that you're willing to have a Saturday town meeting and the election. You've changed the dates and you've changed the time.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying.
To vote on the language, which seems to be the hang-up.
All right, so let me just make sure I understand. So you're saying even if 14 fails, keep.
No, I'm just saying.
Well, but we were talking about like withdrawing 15, but letting both articles play out at the fall town meeting, and then if we run into the unintended consequence scenario, go to the Springtown meeting with cleanup language just to clarify a little bit further, since we have that extra time before it goes into effect. Am I understanding that correctly?
I don't know what the legal consequences are of voting the will of the Board of Selectmen. You've made a change, you want to get something voted on and get that done, but the hang up of the language being worked out for the Springtown meeting. That's basically what I'm asking. I'm not sure if that's something Robert can consider or can be done that way, just to get over the issue. Because the hang up seems to be how do you adjust the language in the existing bylaw and gets away from the intent. You start getting more and more away from the intent, which
Correct.
is you're trying to make an intent and a change that people probably understand, but they don't understand how to change the language. Town meeting.
Thoughts on that?
I'd have to do some follow-up
Okay.
on that. It's an interesting idea, but I don't want to, off the cuff, further convolute it.
Well, the other problem is that we don't have a meeting scheduled again prior to town meeting for us to be able to hear his idea and then say, yeah, that's what we want to do. I mean, we could schedule it.
Yeah, we could, if we need to.
The other thing that just popped up with the timing, we readjusted it at a further town meeting. We're still subject again to Attorney General approval. So that throws, so you may be delaying it.
Does the zoning bylaws have to go to the Attorney General also?
Yeah.
So we keep tweaking the zoning. I understand completely
Yeah.
what you're saying, and I
We
kind of
can
agree, but
change
we
it.
also, do this with the zoning bylaws, because we've
Yeah.
pretty much, we approved the bylaws, and then every meeting since then, we've had some zoning bylaw that we're amending, so,
Yeah, you could change it as many
Yeah.
times as you want.
and then if the Attorney General called, we'd say, look, we're still getting the wording right, you were no help.
Yeah, my gut was, as we were kind of going through these scenarios, is that if we end up on a pass fail, regardless of which article passes or fails, is that we should look to the Springtown meeting to clean up language. to clarify things. So I think we do need to kind of look at that in case we do run into some issues.
Yeah, so again, I mean, obviously if both fail, nothing's changed. They do both work if they both pass. And if 14 passes and 15 doesn't, but it's if 14...
It still works, it's just the night before town election.
Right, and then if 14 fails, there is in
That's
the ruck.
Correct.
And
So can you put some thought into that, and if we have to schedule a quick meeting before town meeting, you know, for a quick discussion on that one point, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah.
Because let's at least go into town meeting with a plan.
right, and that's why I wanted to, and I appreciate this time and the questions related to this, so we can clarify and be in the best footing. So I'm crystal clear. This is why you get the big bucks, Mr. Chairman. Could you restate? I understand what Mr. Diskin is saying.
So, based upon the scenarios put forward,
Yeah,
okay, if they both pass, they both fail,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. A plan for if 14 passes, 15 fails.
No,
Can you put those back up?
Yep.
15 passes,
If
14 fails.
No, so, but on 14 passes and 15 fails, we have the back-to-back. Do we want to go to the spring to try to rephrase the wording so that we can move it so it's not the next day? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility for spring. In the instance where 14 fails and 15 passes, that's when we need some kind of a game plan, whether do we want to just withdraw the article? Do we want to let it play out and then regroup after the fact, after town meeting, and look for changes at the spring town meeting?
So, I could just like add,
It's amazing how
Yes.
confusing this whole thing is.
if 14 passes and 15 fails, and town meeting is now the night before election, could you tell us realistically how big of a problem that could be? I don't know, I mean, there has to be some logistic issue or something, I would think.
it's a crunch time for the clerk's
A very
office.
tired town clerk who
Yep,
could be a little cranky, we don't know, we don't.
yeah.
Crankier.
Ooh. Remember, he added the herb.
Ruth?
I think that the goal for moving a town meeting would be to have greater participation, which having it at night puts a problem with parents of small children and babysitters and that, or having it on a Saturday. I think that's a good goal, is to increase that participation, but from what Mary was saying, it sounds like the parking lot's a problem. Maybe we should think about fixing the parking lot up there.
That's next. Let's get through the bylaw and then we'll fix the parking lot. Because all jokes aside, I know age is always being used as an
Yeah.
excuse, but you know, a lot of young people could have night vision problems. And honestly, I don't have night vision problems, and even I walk out there going, oh my God, it's really dark. So that's a universal thing. And we can't just blame it on the seniors, except for Mary.
So just bear with me.
Yeah, please.
So so at this point, going into town meeting, the warrant is as it is.
Mhm.
And we go through, the town meeting goes through all of the articles. We get to Article 14. If Article 14 passes, okay, and Article 15 passes, mission accomplished in a very roundabout way, but mission accomplished, right? 14 fails and 15 fails, status quo. The problem is when 14 fails, you have no way of knowing, I would argue, whether 15 is going to fail. So I think there are two immediate, what I'll call town meeting options. There are actually three. One would be to withdraw 14 and 15 completely. But second would, if 14 passes, obviously go to the debate in 15. And if 15 passes, it works. If 14 fails, somebody could make a motion to leave to withdraw Article 15. So 14 has failed, so we're number 4, this unintended conundrum. Article 14 fails and pull 15, or, in working with town council, if Article 14 fails, you could amend Article 15, adding shall be called on the 4th Monday of April, and striking the last sentence, and we could do some more in the explanatory presentation. That would still result in a Saturday town meeting with the annual town election being held on the 4th, if 15 passed.
Have we heard from, or have you reached out to the town moderator to see if these amendments will be able to be amended on town meeting floor? Because I think that's also an important factor.
I am actively trying to connect with him. He did reach out to me on last Thursday. We were supposed to connect on Friday. I've kept him in the loop and have been, he does have the warrant. I did invite him to everything. I was going to obviously brief him on this.
Because I kind of feel like we have kind of dropped the ball on this one, and we have a scenario out there which is not ideal at all, being our unintended consequence. And if our approach has to be trying to fix it in 2 stages, so we see what happens on the 28th, if we end up with 14 failing, 15 passing, would be to go back at Springtown meeting to clarify the language to kind of set things right. I don't think it does us no benefit to push this off another year. I think that I think we need to move ahead, because if we push it off another year, we're going to be looking at 2022 as the starting point. But let's keep 2021, and just if we have to fumble our way through this town meeting, the next spring town meeting, and maybe even next fall's town meeting with some further clarification, I'd rather go that route so we can at least get the votes and then get it implemented.
Actually, I think I agree. If Article 14 fails, which is the election part, but 15 passes, I think we could go back at Springtown meeting and say, look, all we want to do is fix the language in paragraph 3 to say this is when the election is. Boom. I agree.
Okay. I think that's our best option going forward.
Because then we'll achieve the, if Article 15 passes, then we've achieved the major goal as far as, for participation and lighting and whatnot of changing town meeting when town meeting is.
Yeah, if 14 fails and 15 passes, first of all, it's got to go through the review. Second of all, it doesn't go into effect, nothing goes into effect until July 1st anyway. And thirdly, if to fix this scenario at the annual town meeting, there could be an article to supersede that to fix it.
Yeah.
Did not think of that.
Yeah, because that would be a really simple article at annual town meeting if we had to. Because all we'd be saying, we're just making it so that it is as is.
Carly, you had something?
Yeah, I'm trying to, maybe I'm just lost, but I've tried to look at this 5,000 times. if 14 fails and 15 passes, how do we end up with 2 events on a Saturday when no event is on a Saturday?
I don't know how we got 2 events on a Saturday.
That's what I just
It's
don't get.
the way that the
Oh,
language
because-
is written,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it
because if you
says,
read paragraph 3, you have to go back to sentence 1.
Okay.
Right, it doesn't
Paragraph one.
give you a,
That's why.
it doesn't
Yeah,
specify
yeah.
it.
because
Okay.
it plays out the annual town meeting as a 3-week-long process with the
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
elections happening first and then
Right.
having that meeting itself.
Okay.
And then if 15 passes, the sentence would actually have the correct date for annual town meeting, and
Yeah.
you'd still have your gobbledygook.
Yeah, I
It
think,
talks about election in paragraph 3 with the correct, with, no,
I see,
I'm
I-
lost again, I don't
Yeah,
even want
no.
to talk about it anymore.
I don't mean to confuse it, I think just that you're looking at trying to create, change one whole article, but in like
Yeah.
2 different ways. And I think I was looking at it just very narrow and not seeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we let them ride as they are.
Yeah.
If for some reason we end up with that horrible scenario or other language that we do just need to clean up at the Springtown meeting, let's move ahead with that.
The more I think about it, I appreciate this with the board having talked all of this through. I would agree as well. Have the debates on 14 and 15 and have town meeting vote. And however if we end up in that scenario, it can be corrected in the spring.
Yeah.
And we haven't lost anything in that sense because nothing goes into effect till July.
And even if both failed, we could still, if we wanted to, go to annual town meeting
Yeah.
and just fix the bylaw to say, this is what it is, and then paragraph 3, this is when the election is, and just clean up the language, no changes, we just want the language cleaned up.
Right, strike and replace.
Strike and
The whole
replace.
variable in that is whether there's motions to amend on the floor of town meeting for either of these articles.
Uh-huh.
That's the big variable, but,
Okay.
okay.
I will follow up with Mr. Diskin's point and advise the board, which I think we're moving in that direction anyhow. Correcting it in the spring.
Okay.
Okay.
Susan, you look, no? Okay.
Okay.
All right, just checking. All right.
So-
I think we've beaten that horse enough.
I was just gonna say, with that completes my report.
I get to.
Thank you, Robert.
Yep.
All right. Anything under new business for selectmen's questions? No. All right. Up next is the approval of meeting minutes for October 1st, 2019.
So I had noticed something this morning, and I sent a note to Carly asking for the meeting minutes fixed. I know that she emailed them back out. I don't know if you saw them.
I did, yes.
So the one in the packet is not the correct one. It just changes where under the review and approval of the fall special town meeting, where she had put in here that you asked about the second Monday in May, that you had actually asked about the fourth Monday in April. So do you have that new one printed out already?
Yep. So the only thing is tomorrow, I didn't take the highlight off when I printed it from the email.
Yeah. So it just rearranged what she thought you said to what you said. So you amended.
That's fine. I did read those. I have no problem with those at all.
Okay. All right. So I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended on 15 October 2019.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Minutes are approved. Anything else this evening?
Nope.
No?
So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 8:06 p.m.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. We're adjourned. Thank you very
Good
much,
night, everyone.
everyone.